Welcome to Inspire to Serve, where we dive deep into the public safety issues that challenge us, inspire us, and remind us of the resilience of the human spirit. I'm Melissa Johnson, candidate for Jackson County Prosecutor, and today we have conversations that touch on one of the most devastating experiences a parent can endure: the loss of a child to homicide. In April, 3 children were either murdered or injured within a 2-week span. In this episode, we'll be hearing from courageous parents who have faced unimaginable tragedy and found the strength to navigate complex journeys of grief, navigating the legal process, and turning their pain into advocacy. Their stories are raw, honest, and deeply moving, offering a glimpse into the profound impact of violence on families and communities, and highlighting the importance of aggressively prosecuting violent offenders, victim advocacy, and providing resources. So join me as we listen with open hearts and minds to the voices of these remarkable parents who are committed to honoring the life and memories of their precious children. This is a conversation that may be difficult to hear at times, but it is one that sheds light on the importance of our relentless crusade for a world where we all can grow old. Without further ado, let's dive into this poignant and powerful conversation. I also want to note that many of our interviewees are representatives of 501c3 organizations. And I want to be clear that they are participating in these interviews in their individual capacity, and nothing should be construed as an official endorsement on behalf of their respective organizations. Thank you. We have a beautiful and powerful couple here with us today. We have Miss Cartisha and Chris Huston. Very nice to see you all. Of course, thank you so much for being willing to come over and have what I know will be a difficult conversation, but not obviously more difficult than what you all have endured and what you all are doing now to avenge your son's legacy. And so I just want to start to talk by talking a little bit about Chris. Kind of what was his personality like? What was he interested in? Kind of how did he make you all feel as parents, and kind of what did he contribute to your existence on a daily basis?
Okay, I'll start. That's you.
Go ahead.
Chris, for me, he is our first son.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, he is, but I won't speak to him. He is, he's a breath of fresh air. He is a breath of fresh air. And when we had him, we were young and in love, and he made us so happy. He still, to this day, the thought of him makes me so happy, because he came into this world and he was just love, and he taught me, honestly, unconditional love. And so he's just, and will forever be my sunshine. I love my baby. I miss him so much. I really do.
Yeah. And your namesake?
Your namesake, exactly. Chris is really, I would say, our hippie baby. He's a hippie baby. He's always walked to the drum of his own beat, the beat of his own drum. Excuse me. He's never been shy to do anything outside of what people don't think is the norm. Like I said, he was really a caring, loving, and protective kid, because I travel a lot. And when I had the conversation with him, like, well, I need you to be the man of the house when I leave, he took that to heart. He would call his mother, see where she's at,
yes,
get his little brothers, and he'd go the rounds to the house and make everything locked down and everything. So he, very, very loving kid, and just, like she said, a breath of fresh air. Just was great to be around. So he was our heartbeat.
Yeah. All 19 years. Like, I always say 19 years in 2 weeks. And if I could add the hours in a second, I would, because and people say, like, they always be like, oh, my kid was this and my kid was that. But when I speak of him, it's all true. Like, he was the most loving child, like, from a very small kid. Like, 2 weeks before he passed away, our middle son, Desmond, he was trying to kill, like, this little snail on the ground. And Chris, he stopped him. He's like, no, don't kill that snail on the ground. Like, you don't touch nothing in this environment. Right. Like, that's in this environment. You don't do that. Would you want that snail to kill you? And to this day, my son's, Desi, our son Desi is 23. You bring that story up, he's always like, because that's just how he was. He was so loving, he was so caring about everything. And just for, that to happen to him, for him to die in such a horrible way, it still affects me to this day, because he's just a breath of fresh air, so loving, he has so much to give to this world.
I feel his light like coming out of y'all when y'all speak about him. I mean, just the way that you all get illuminated. I can tell that he is a special person. Because I don't like to speak about people in the past tense either. You mentioned what happened to him. I do want to talk a little bit about that to the extent that you all are comfortable. Walk us through that day.
It was a normal day. Okay, like we woke up that morning. So our routine was when my husband was in town. He actually had just got in town, that night, and he didn't even get to see Chris because he was asleep. But we woke up that morning. Chris used to take our other two kids, because he had graduated from high school and he was in college and he worked. He used to take them to school, run our errands for us, and we got up on a normal day, getting ready for school, getting ready for work, just doing our regular things. We got up, took them to school, we went to work, and it was normal. I talked to him throughout the day, normal day. We laughed, giggled, cracked up. I woke him up because he had some errands and things that he had to get done before he had to go to work the next day. And I talked to him literally 4 minutes before he passed away. He was lost. And I often blame myself because I was a very defective mother. He didn't learn how to drive until recently, like right before he passed away. He didn't learn how to really drive and learn how to get around Kansas City because I was so protective of him. All three of them, actually. And he was going somewhere and he got lost. And I was talking to him and I said, "Hey, Chris, call your dad. Call your dad. He can tell you because I'm directionally challenged myself."
Same here.
So I said, "Call your dad." And so he called Chris and talked to Chris. And I guess Chris was giving him directions. And I will never forget this. It's vivid to my brain. He was rushing because he was going to get a car that day because he had been driving my car, Chris's car. And he was going to get a car that day. And he was like, "Mama, I gotta hurry up. I gotta get this. I gotta get that." And I said, "Chris, slow down." I said, "The world is moving around you. You don't have to move with it. Slow down. Relax. You're gonna get where you need to go." And he was like, "All right, Mom." He was like, "All right." And he was like, "Well, I love you," or whatever. He's like, "You're right. I need to slow down." That was that. He called Chris, talked to him. 4 minutes later, my phone. I had stepped away from my desk, and my phone was ringing, and I ignored the call. And then I came back, and it was ringing again. I picked it up, and his girlfriend at the time, she said, "Chris got shot." I'm like, "What?" Because in my mind, I feel like, where would Chris be that he could get shot? What would Chris be doing? Because we got steps, we got rules. In my mind, we have all these things that you should be doing. If this happens, if that happens, you should be doing. And I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, he's shot and he's laying here and da 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 da. And I'm like, hearing myself. I'm like, what in the world? And so that process went through, and then we went to the hospital, and my husband got there, and we were taken into a room, and they told us, "This one's not gonna make it." We still don't know what happened. Why someone would shoot Chris? Nothing. Later to find out, Chris was in a road rage incident. God was upset because Chris was just driving too slow. He didn't like it, and he got angry. I mean, before Chris could even get 2-3 words out, he pulled the gun out and shot Chris in the head. And that's how we lost him, just like that. And, to this day, it's just like I can't believe it.
I mean, it's just hard to wrap your mind around because first, like you all mentioned, as parents, the structure, doing everything society tells you to do to keep your kid out of that type of predicament, right?
Right.
I mean, how did you feel like when you first heard the news, or when the doctor told you that he wasn't going to make it?
It was like a weight just crushed me, because it was unbelievable. Well, first it was unbelievable to hear that I got the call that Chris had been shot. I literally jumped up and just ran out of work and said, "I'm gone." And I saw them wheel him in, and we were trying to ask questions. And Tisha was on her way. And they weren't really telling us a lot. And then finally they came back, and they brought us to the room, and they told us, and it was devastating. I mean, it was the worst day of my life. It was I collapsed.
Yeah, he did.
I couldn't.
Melted on the floor.
It was the worst feeling that you could ever feel. it was horrible. And yeah, you think back like, how could this happen? Because we've always given the kids pretty good structure. We didn't try to be too strict,
Right.
but we've given them leeway to do things, and they were really, everybody said their kids are good, but really the kids didn't really do anything out of the norm. They were
They still are.
Yeah, out of the norm of what
me.
regular kids would do. But yeah, it was just unbelievable to think that our child had been shot, and now we've lost him at the age of 19.
Any loss of life is beyond tragic.
Right.
But for his life to have ended for something as senseless and frankly stupid,
Right.
Did that have an impact on not on like just almost amplifying the loss? Or did that not matter?
In that moment, if I could fast forward back, take it back from when Chris was saying when Chris passed away, I knew Chris wasn't going to make it in that moment because we went into the room because my brother was killed prior to that.
Right.
So we knew that process, right? We walked into the room. I knew what was going to happen right in that moment. I was just waiting for them to say it. And then to find out how, it was just like, what?
Right.
Like, you couldn't wait and go around or like to take a life like that, a senseless incident of that magnitude, like for what? Like, you killed my son, never gonna see him again. He's never gonna see him again. And what hurt me in that moment is the day before that, our middle son and Chris was like wrestling around and they had made a boo-boo and put a hole in the wall. And this is what I just want to explain how it affects people's lives. They put a hole in the wall, and so my two other children were coming and they didn't know what happened. He's calling me like, Mama, I just trying to make an excuse for what had happened. Oh, I fell trying to put my sock on and I fell into the wall. But I'm thinking in my head like, I gotta tell you. Sorry, I haven't spoken about this anymore. I have to tell you that your brother is not going to come home with us. And it just really tore me apart because we are and still is a unit.
Yes.
Like, I value the relationship that Chris has with his boys, and I value the relationship that I have with him. I value the relationship that we have as a whole. And somebody just came and broke that unit up, and I'm never gonna be the same. No matter what I do, how I do it, I'm never gonna be the same. And I try so hard, but that person broke our unit up and went about his day as if nothing never happened, just like that. So it's very impactful.
How are your sons doing? How are they coping?
Well, as I guess as good as anybody could be. There was a lot of growing up they both had to do, especially for Desmond.
Well, we immediately went to counseling.
Right. And because we did. And we did that. But like I said, Chris was a mini me to take care of things that I couldn't do while I was on the road. So Desmond couldn't drive, Jay couldn't drive. They were used to either me or their mother or Chris helping out. So it thrusted Desmond into a position that he was very unfamiliar with, grieving for his brother, trying to be a big middle brother to his little brother. And then on top of that, he was in sports. He had to figure out how to keep that going and go to college. And then at the same time, our youngest, he's still trying to figure out what actually happened. So when death comes to your front door, it really rips the fabric of your house apart. And you don't know, there's no book, no guidelines on how to deal with it. And you have to be careful because you have to watch how it could eat you apart or tear your family apart trying to cope with what happened. We try not to focus too much on one and forget the other or overcompensate both to make up for what happened. Then we have to make sure we're good and we're not blaming ourselves for what happened to our child. So
we immediately got into family counseling, and we immediately got Desmond and Jaden into counseling on their own because it was like we were trying to be something that we didn't even know how to be.
Right.
Nor
should you know how to be because this is unimaginable.
Uncharted territory.
And I always say this, like, I was saying earlier, you think you do all the right things. You think you teach your kids, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Love thy neighbor, love this, be kind, blah blah blah. And in that instance, all of that goes out the door because somebody got angry and killed them. So any instance that could happen. And so it turned my whole thought process around on like what life was, and I can't be this oblivious person, and I will always love with my whole heart, but I have to be aware.
And that's a hard lesson to have to learn yourself, but then also have to bestow upon your kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have to take a quick moment just to honor this. Because from the moment I've met Cartisha, she speaks so highly of you. And I can see how you are caring for her in these moments. And so when you talk about a unit, if this is the unit that the foundation is made of, extracting and taking away a part of the familial unit that you all work so hard to build and to solidify and fortify, just because of stupidity.
Right.
Because of stupidity. And life is already hard enough. Raising kids is already hard enough. Providing is already hard enough. Now you have this additional layer of awareness and paranoia and forced intentionality that you have to undertake as it pertains to your kids. And I don't want to speak for y'all, but to me, it just sounds so unfair.
It is. That's for sure. It is definitely unfair. A lot of times, like we said, we just want to kind of crawl up in our bed and cry and just shut the world out. But you can't.
Yeah,
you can't. You have to continue, and then you have to figure a way to continue to navigate when you'll never be the same. Yeah. And it's almost as if you're finding out who you are all over again, because you're not the same person.
Right. And with our family as a whole, even with my husband, we're high school sweethearts. We met each other in high school, immediately got married. Chris at a young age. And like I said, for me, my life has not been the ideal life.
Right. You was talking about your brother.
Yeah. I feel like, in, slang terms, I got it out the mud.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And I met my husband, and, we created this family and had Chris and Desmond and Jaden. For me, I was like, I'm going to do a lot of things different. I'm going to pour into them, and I'm going to show them all these things, and I'm going to not only give love, but I'm going to receive the love that I kind of missed out on. And then just for that to happen the way it happened to and they're all sweet and they're all loving, but to my little sweetest baby, and I all they're big boys. He's 6'2". But in my eyes, that's my sweet baby.
Right.
He was so sweet and he was so kind. And if that person would have known, if he didn't just look at the fact that my son had dreadlocks and he was a brown boy, if he didn't look at the fact that he was just driving down the street, minding his business, and he looked scary, maybe he would, or even intervene in his day. Chris would be here, or he would be here, and he didn't know who he was. He took away somebody that could have made this world a better place, and he took that from him, and he took it from us. And I'm forever, although I forgive him, I do it all my whole heart. I'm forever burdened with that pain of losing Chris, because I'm never going to be able. Our family is never going to be able to be the same again. I'll never be the Cartisha that I was, May 24th, 2017. The day before Chris passed away, the day after Chris passed away, May 27th, I had to learn myself all over again. I had to learn Chris all over again, Desi and Jay, because our lives was just tore up for what?
And community needs to hear all of this.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about homicides, when we talk about non-fatal shootings, we talk about them in terms of numbers.
Right.
Y'all, these are people.
Right.
With families, with loved ones. And more importantly, these are not all people who were deeply entrenched in the life, right? These are not all people that were toting guns and wreaking havoc on their neighbors. These are people that come from love.
Yes, extreme.
That come from structure. That come from being kind, and that as a base level understanding that you do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. And so we have to remember that when we are talking about these things in academic or just high level terms.
Yeah.
None of this is rationalized. None of this is rationalized. And one of the worst parts about it is like, you don't even get to just grieve. You had to continue to parent.
Right.
You had to continue to provide.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also had to navigate the legal system, the investigation, the prosecution.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your experiences through that period of this journey.
Yeah. Well, I would say the detective that got our case for Chris, she was amazing. She kept us informed.
He was her first case.
Right. That's right.
She's not a detective anymore. Yeah.
That's right. She was the first case. And she really cared. Yeah, she really did care. She was very passionate about little Chris and solving that. That's what I was very thankful for, that we had someone that really cared and, like you said, didn't look at Chris as just a number, because that can happen, or have this preconceived thought that, oh, just another hood boy, or what did he do, you know? And I think when she met us and saw who we were, she knew who Chris was, and I think that's what touched her to make her be more passionate about doing the job. And then the legal system, the court. I just say I would say I was disappointed at the end.
Disappointed with
the outcome.
What was the outcome?
The 24 years. But the fact, it's not even the fact that the 24 years, it's the way Chris's life wasn't thought of. It was more so for discharging the gun.
Yeah, he got 24 years for discharging. He got more years
for shooting a gun
in broad daylight versus killing our son. That blew my mind.
That's what really, and that didn't sink in until after the fact that we actually saw it in black and white.
Well, let me say Go ahead. Detective Drake was amazing. She was so amazing. Very amazing. And I give kudos to her for loving him. But with every case that you handle, with their black, green, blue,
it should be handled that way.
You should come into a case where you don't have preconceived thoughts about what this person is. Right. There's a case, there's a life, and you need to handle it that way. I don't care what you're thinking. There's a life that's lost, and you need to handle it accordingly. In that case, so she did her job, and she should have, and I love her for that. Right. I will always love her for that. But and then we went through the court process. The lawyer, he was amazing. Yeah. He was good. He was new, just like her. He was really good, and he did his job to the best of his ability. But I mean, like I said, what is enough? Right. You know, what is enough from a parent's perspective? But you want something, and if I could be frank about it, I felt like if the roles were reversed, because the person that did kill Chris, he wasn't a young black boy. He wasn't older. He wasn't a little kid that was living in the city and had an issue. He was a 45-year-old grown man that knew better, that had his kid. He had a grown son, my son's age, so he knew better. And if the roles were reversed, I personally feel like Chris would be. It would be no question what would have happened to Chris. It would be no question what would have happened to Chris. He would have been in jail. We would have been tied up, done. Right. And the minute he did that, it was like he went to work, went right back to work. He went on vacation. He went to a Royals game. He was with his family. And the only reason why he got caught is because a friend of his saw him on TV. But he lived his life as my son's life didn't matter. While we were sitting in the hospital watching my son die, you were enjoying your life.
That same day.
The whole weekend.
The whole weekend. After he killed Chris, he went back to work. Finished his day out. Yeah. Like he didn't just shoot him.
And after that, went on vacation.
Went on vacation for the weekend, came back that Monday, and went to a Royals game. Yeah. Nothing. The city's looking for you because you shot and killed somebody on 4th and Holmes, 104th and Holmes on broad daylight, and you're just la la la. And so after all these things happened, my son didn't have a gun. He's never owned a gun, never owned a knife, or nothing. Nothing. He had a cell phone, and he was lost. And you said, "Oh, I was in fear for my life." For what? He was driving down the street minding his own business. You interfered in his day, killed him.
And so how did he get that 24 years? Was it a trial? Did he plead guilty?
It was a trial.
It was a trial, actually.
He never pleaded guilty.
No,
No.
He pled.
He was found
he
guilty.
pled not guilty.
Yeah, he pled not guilty the entire time.
He was found guilty by the judge. It was a judge trial.
A bench trial.
Yeah.
I have to ask, because we need to highlight how the impact of these incidences are ongoing, which is why strict accountability and aggressive prosecution are needed.
Definitely.
When you saw the Ralph Yarl shooting,
Right.
did that invoke memories?
A lot.
I mean, I literally cried because it made me think about what happened to Chris. And you want to not make a situation your situation, but this immediate impact, you're victimized all over again because you're seeing this happen to somebody else's child. And you're like, oh my gosh, that could have been way different. He could have died just like Chris. And it made me think about what happened to Chris. And it broke my heart. Like, this is happening again, and it can happen again and again and again. And what happens to these people?
Nothing.
Like I'm not even trying to. If we're gonna make the law, we need to make it fair
across the board.
It needs to be fair across the board, and punishment needs to be fair across the board. Not one person should be able to get away with doing something to someone that is the exact same thing that another person did, and they don't pay for it.
Right.
And it's only because you live in this area, or you're this color, or you're that color. It's not fair. That's the only thing that I don't like with law, is with the law system. I'm sorry, the justice system. It has to be fair.
Equal application.
Yes.
Across the board.
Yes.
Equal application of the law.
Yes.
That's it. Yes.
And so during the trial, did you feel adequately supported by the different players that be, whether it be police, prosecutors? You mentioned that you had a victim advocate. Talk to us about the importance of having that kind of person holding your hand through this process, even though I know that you might have experienced something like that before, right?
Well, with my brother, we didn't have the best victims advocate, but with Chris, it was a blessing. She was amazing. She walked us through every single thing. She held our hand. She called us for everything. She explained every single thing. She did the best that she could. She cried with us. She laughed with us. She hugged us. She ate with us. She was there. Even the lawyer, he did the same thing. We became family after, because they were just there, and that was very helpful, because being two regular people that don't know the justice system and don't know the law as deep as we, as a lawyer would, or, a police officer, it was helpful for them to break it down to us and explain that information to us, because in layman's terms, because we didn't know. So it was very, very helpful for us to get those phone calls. All the communication that she gave us.
Yeah, because I was kind of leery, because like you said, not knowing the lingo, the terms, the process, because we had never been part of anything like that. Not with them being so intricate in everything they were doing for us. Like I said, continually calling, emails, texts. They were just really helpful, and like you said, basically holding our hand through the whole process. And every time something happened, when we would take a break or whatnot during trial, we'd have almost like a breakdown of what happened and what's next and what's to come.
That's how it's supposed to be. And that makes me feel really happy that you all had that amount of support. And obviously something that's really, really important to me is, like, if we aren't empathetic to people in their most vulnerable moments, we can't be surprised that later on down the line, if we need them, they won't cooperate. They won't testify. They won't call the police. Every negative interaction with a resident, whether it's on behalf of police, a prosecutor, elected official, or whoever, can cast doubt and negativity on the entire system. And so I love, love, love that you all had that experience. And so I want to know, present day, as you all are continuing to learn yourselves after such a tragic loss, how are you avenging or honoring Chris's life and his existence?
Me and my baby, we came up with our own organization, if you want to speak to.
Yeah, we did Breath of Me, Life in You. Actually, she was cooking dinner, and I was at the dining room table. And she said, we should start an organization. And we just started doing it. And she came up with the name, so that Breath of Me, Life in You, that As long as there's breath in us, there's always life in our loved ones. So we always wanted to just do something to keep Chris's name going. Because like we said, we never want to stop speaking, because if we don't, no one else will.
Right.
So the organization came about. We wanted to give kids, teach kids conflict resolution skills. Also, we do mentoring. So I'll grab a couple of kids and we'll try to just mentor with homework or just big brother stuff. Just kind of be a safe space, someone to look up to, and someone they can kind of, once we get comfortable with one another, they can kind of tell us things, or they can share things with us, and we can kind of help them with things. So it was just, we wanted to give back and not let no other family feel what we felt.
Right.
Because that's what we don't want to happen. We don't want senseless acts to happen, and then you're left with this why.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's why it really drove us. And like she said, it's our lifelong legacy to keep Chris and Jamon
and not just
others name going.
Everyone that has lost their lives to senseless gun violence or some sort of violence, it's up to us, the living, with whatever talents that we have, whatever attributes that we have, to use those to elevate their lives, to change the narrative. And I mean, this is a big, for me, sometimes I look at the little work that I think I'm doing. Sometimes I look at it and be like, wow, like I'm crying, I'm upset because I think that I'm not an emotional person, but when I look at the situation, I look at it, I'm like, this is so much. Oh my gosh, my one little voice. But I'm going to use my one little voice. When I leave this earth, I want people to say, Cartisha did not give up. She did not fold. Sorry. And she did continue Chris's legacy. And it wasn't just Chris's legacy. It wasn't just her brother's legacy. I said every person's name that has died. I've said their name some way, shape, or form through my actions, the way I love someone, and how I'm fighting to change laws that are not, healthy for our community, and not just our community, for the world. I want to be that voice. When I leave this world, I want to know that I made a change, that Chris's life wasn't in vain, and neither was mine, because I want to make that change. I'm not going to fold up and die because Chris died. I'm going to carry his life with me, because he does live through me, through Chris, through Desi, through Jay, and through everybody in this world, through you. Yes. You're amazing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Through you, seeing you and your work.
What you're doing is right.
I believe, not to get off the subject, but I want to say I believe in you so much, because I see the passion in your eyes. I see the passion in your heart. I see the work that you do. And it makes me want to work harder. It makes me want to do what I can do to support you. On days that I'm tired, I want to get up, because I know if I can help someone like you get in positions of power like that, we are winning, because you are going to be that change. You're going to be that voice. And I know you're not going to forget about people like me. You're fighting for people like me.
That's right.
And I'm fighting for you too. I want you to know.
I feel it.
I'm fighting for you.
And thank you for pouring life into me. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't pour it right back. Right. Days after the Chiefs Parade shooting, I'm in a park looking at this beautiful woman that has suffered and endured more than anybody could ever be expected to endure, with a microphone in her hand. Once again, doing what you do, speaking life into others, right? There are three main ways, especially in the state of Missouri when our gun laws are running rampant, three main ways that we can reduce gun violence: street outreach, hospital outreach, and transformative mentorship.
Yes.
What you are doing with these young people that see themselves in you, who may not have other father figures or male figures in their life, matters. It is moving the needle. And it is something that more of our community members need to step up and use their spare time to do. Because when there's holes in our community, whose responsibility is it to fill them?
Right.
It's ours.
Right. Most definitely.
It's ours. And so the last question I have for you all, which I could just talk to you all day, and I'm still trying to figure out my dating life, but this gives me a lot of hope right here. And y'all kind of outdressed me on my own podcast, but we're going to let it fly.
We didn't know.
We knew you were going to
Right.
You walk and then dress up.
I'm on the other side. You mentioned it's on all of us. It's all of our responsibilities to keep every person that is no longer with us alive and to carry on their legacy. How do you both see the prosecutor, the next Jackson County prosecutor? How do you see them doing that? What do you want and what do you look for in the next person to lead that office?
I'm looking for someone that's of the people. I want someone that knows. I don't want just a face. I want someone that's been in the place, that's been around and sees it and tired of it. Maybe grown up in it, been around, just familiar with it. This is a beautiful city, and if you're not from the city, or you can hear rumors or myths of the quote unquote name that they give it. I don't want to say it because I don't want to breathe life into it. But I want someone that's from here, that's grown here, that's learned here, that's cried here, that's the whole nines, and really cares about what this city can and will be. And I think when you're homegrown and you're able to speak to the people, and because I will say Kansas City can point a fake out in a minute. You can come and speak and eloquently and all that, but they'll understand that you don't really know me or our situation, and that's what we need. We need someone that kind of like a auntie or an uncle that'll say, "Now you know you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're wrong, but I'm gonna tap your heart. But I love you, but you know you're wrong." We need to make sure there's accountability, but with love, not just to once I kind of tap your heart and say, "Okay, now I want to help you get better."
Yeah.
Just not throw you away and get rid of you. I want you to know that I'm doing this because I love you, I care about you, and I want the city to flourish. And I think that's what we need. We need someone that's really for the people and from the people.
I want relatability. I want someone. I don't want a face that says they're going to do something because it's good politics. I want somebody that is, like you said, like Chris said, for the people. Because I think a lot of times we've gotten away from the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want somebody. Laws have to be in place. Rules have to be followed.
Right.
I want somebody that's stern. I want somebody that means business. But I also want somebody that knows that sometimes we may have to rehabilitate. I know there's sometimes we may have to not go straight to strong law policy, strong, stern policies. It may be, a case by case basis. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you may have to be tough in this, and you may have to be tough and not so tough in this. But I want equality. I want fairness. I want honesty. I want it to be a new face for Kansas City, and I want I feel that the people deserve a new face, an honest face, a young face, a real face, a relatable face, somebody that really is for the people, that understands the people, that can come into the city and say, "Hey, I am the prosecuting attorney for Jackson County, but I am human. I'm going to be fair, but I'm going to be stern, and I'm going to be truthful, and I'm going to do it with love, but I'm going to do my job." We've done the old stuff.
That's right.
That's work for them. It's now.
And it's not working now.
Right. This is now. Right.
This is now.
And I feel like a new, fresh, young face that is ready to work. And it's not, it's politics. Politics is going to politics. But at the end of the day, we need somebody that understands that politics is not just politics. We need humanity. We need a human being understanding human life.
Right.
And that's what I want to do. Bring humanity back into politics. Bring a regular human being back into politics.
There we go.
Not a robot.
Whew. Y'all's faith in me, y'all's faith in the world, y'all's faith to even keep going. I can't even put it into words how appreciative and thankful that I am that God saw me fit to cross your path. I've learned so much from you. Conversations and connections like this is what keeps my backbone up straight and my resolve strong, because you are absolutely right. We know what our society is and how we have not always gotten a fair bargain.
Right.
but we have to be better.
Right.
We have to be better to each other, to our communities, to our world, to our kids. Right. And so I just want to thank you both for your time, for standing with so many people, myself included, and refusing to accept what is going on right now as our reality and as our norm. Keep working, because I'm going to be right there with you and behind you, pushing this new agenda, because we can be who we once be. We're a couple of blocks from one of the most historic streets in the urban core in the Black community, where Bruce R. Watkins used to live, where our teachers and our lawyers used to live. The same street that present day is being ravaged by gun violence. We can get back there, y'all.
I want to be there.
But it's going to take people like y'all. So thank you so much.